Hello, everyone, and welcome. Very excited that so many of you decided to join today. My name is Brenda Dash, and I'm the Senior Wellness Education Manager for WorkWell NYC. And we're here, or I'm here, happily here, to introduce our Men's Health panel. What does health and wellness mean for you? But before we start this very interesting, very exciting panel discussion, I just want to share a little bit about who we are. And when I say who we are, I'm talking about WorkWell NYC. So WorkWell NYC is the city's worksite wellness program, and we're here to help you live well and work well. Our goal is to create work sites that make it easier for our employees to live active, healthy lifestyles. And as we all know, health is not just the absence of disease, health is physical, mental, financial, and we know that health exists on the spectrum. So we're here for you with health and well-being resources and programs to help you move more, eat well, be well, and take action to prevent disease no matter where you are on your health journey. We're also committed to addressing matters of inequity and providing platforms to educate and develop structural solutions to health and wellness, both in and out of work. So as I had shared, we have an exciting discussion today. And some of the objectives that we wanted to focus on was, number one, to hear from city employees who identify as male so that they can share what wellness means to them. Learn key strategies that can be adopted to keep you motivated to keep your wellness goals. And to me, this is very important as a diabetes educator. To me, this is one of the most important things we can do when we talk about wellness. And that's learn ways to take a seat at the table, meaning adopt or feel confident enough to be a part of the conversations when we talk about your own health and wellness. So before I introduce our panelist, I have a question for you. And if you feel comfortable, please share in the chat. We really want this to be a dialogue. So you are going to hear from the panelists. They're going to speak. But at the end of the conversation, we hope that we can answer some of your questions that you submit into the chat. So let's just start the conversation off. When you see or hear statements like, men on average tend to avoid doctors and healthcare professionals far more often than women, what comes to mind for you? Why do you think we're hearing so much conversation about men not necessarily being as proactive in women in seeking assistance when it comes to their health and wellness? So I'll leave that up for a second so you can mule on it. And again, hopefully a few of you will be able to share your thoughts in the chat. So without further ado, I'm going to start to introduce our panelists. So I'm going to introduce the moderator of today's session, and that's Mr. Jeremy Taylor. He's a Worksite Wellness Director for the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. So Jeremy, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon. Thank you again, Brenda, for and the rest of the Workwell team for creating this space for us to have this important and engaging conversation that I'm excited to uh, have today with everyone. And I see more people are trickling in. So if you're coming in, welcome to the space. My name is Jeremy Taylor, as Brenda mentioned, and I've been working here at the NYC Department of Health and Mental Hygiene coming up 10 years, and where I've been in the same role, but having an amazing opportunity to build a wellness program and offer a lot of support to our staff who are scattered all across the city. So I'm excited about wellness, the work I do, and the work well does, and that the work that all of you do as city employees, because the city runs on all of us. So we thank you. So I just want to start with that. So excited about this conversation that we have lined up with a great panel. So I will start, I'll just read everyone's names and then I'll ask everyone to just briefly introduce themselves and just give a quick reflection on the question that Brenda posed earlier. So our panelists today, we have Stephen, Leon, and Laszlo. So we'll start with Stephen. If you can quickly introduce yourself and share any thoughts you might have on that first question Brenda posed to everyone in attendance today. Go ahead.
Hey everybody. Sorry, give me a quick second. My video decided not to want to work. And there we go. All right, it's good now. So, hey everybody, I'm Stephen Reed, Assistant Director of Grants at T2 and Herc, and happy to be here, happy to have this space to have this very important discussion. And I think, going back to Brenda's question, I think sadly on average it is true, but I do think we have been getting better and we've been improving our getting better at addressing our reluctance to go to the doctor. I think we just tend to wait more. We tend to make things like we think that things will just get better on their own. And yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is a friend that for years he's known he's had like a knee issue and he just doesn't go to the doctor because he knows the doctor will tell him bad news and we keep telling him just go. So yeah, I think it's true, but we are getting better. So
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And welcome. And then next up we have Leon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Leon Madramoto. I serve as a Senior Director for Employment Services and Labor Relations at the New York City Department for Aging. And Workwell, I thank you for this space to talk about men's health. And definitely there is a reluctance for men to discuss health concerns. One of it is that we tend not to talk about health, because of social factors, psychological barriers. There's a lack of awareness of health for men, and our work and lifestyle changes, constraints. So having these conversations is critical to talk about our health, but looking at ways to improve our health.
Yeah, thank you so much, Leon. Pleasure to have you on the panel today. And last but not least, we have Laszlo.
Hello, everyone. Laszlo Seika. I work at the Administration for Children's Services. I'm a research analyst in the Social Security Benefits Unit within the Division of Financial Services. While I have had other roles at ACS, I've been there coming up on a dozen years. And as for Brenda's question with men avoiding healthcare more than women, I think there's a image and a mentality of a machismo there that, we're providers, protectors. It's kind of projecting weakness if you're vulnerability, if you're going to the doctor. I mean, you're sick, and then how are you gonna fulfill that caveman role in a way? But I found, I mean, if we can say yes, historically men have been that protector, provider. Only recently, more recently, have things changed in the past century to larger or smaller extent, depends on the place. But if you think of it, and let's grant that, okay, we're providers, protectors, all that. Well, if you're sick, if you're gonna get knocked out by a heart attack, by a stroke, anything lesser, how are you gonna provide and protect? So be
Absolutely.
macho, have that role and think of yourself, that's fine. But then take care of yourself because otherwise you're not gonna be around to provide and protect.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Laszlo, and welcome again to the panel. And I just want to add that we've been getting a lot of feedback and comments coming in, some also echoing what was shared that, perspectives are changing, things are changing a little bit, right? And also reflecting on some comments on perhaps there might be lack of support, right? Or maybe education, or maybe there's more of that could be done for men, right? And maybe that could also help with improving that as well. Um, so kind of piggybacking off of that question, do you all feel that there is a reluctance of men to discuss their health um, or to seek medical care? And if so, why?
I can continue a little bit. I
Yeah,
mean, I won't repeat the machismo thing. That's one aspect
yeah,
of it. I think definitely that's there. Um, Secondarily, I mean, there are other obstacles that I've found besides what's been mentioned, cultural and psychological. But for example, the healthcare industry in this country, where you have to, so many things seek prior authorization for procedures. Like my personal, I have had torn meniscus, right? And the health insurance company wouldn't approve, even though I went into my PCP. He touched the spot, he made a squeeze, he made the diagnosis in like 30 seconds. He made me feel pain 100 times worse than what I had. So he knew what he was talking about, but he's like, I got to see an MRI to send you to the specialist, to the orthopedist and the surgeon. And the health insurance company said, do an X-ray. That didn't show anything. I didn't have arthritis. Have 6 weeks of physical therapy. I guess those are cheaper. And then eventually you have to keep going back and be on top of it with my PCP to um, write a new request and to change and say I still have it didn't really help the physical therapy, and then to call the insurance company and say where's the approval, and I've had to then move the MRI appointment multiple times because the approval hadn't come through yet, and then I'd be liable out of pocket. So when you have things like that, you get discouraged. It's like that's one step only, right? That's only the diagnosis.
Yeah.
Then you have to get to actually having the surgery. Those have issues around them as well. Then you have to go to rehab. All of those, insurance is involved. And if you are to begin with not that inclined or enthusiastic about following through with everything, then getting discouraged and you'd kind of maybe leave it alone. And if the
Mm.
pain gets that much worse, you return to it if you really, really have to, but sometimes that's too late. So I think that's and like was it Leon or Steven? No, Steven mentioned like we tend to leave things, right? And some
Yeah.
things do resolve. You
Yeah.
don't be hypochondriac and going with a cold right away. But I was just reading the other day about thyroid cancer being in younger and younger people being diagnosed, and like about six um, warning signs. And it's like one of them is like prolonged cough for a month and a half, not going away, a sore throat, kind of an ache, lump kind of in the lower
Mhm.
neck area that may or may not get bigger. But if it's around for a month and a half, so on, then you just kind of have to force
Hey,
yourself to get bad news if that's what it is, because you'll be much more likely to get a successful outcome if it's
right.
with early diagnosis.
Yeah, and I think touching on just reflecting a little bit on what you said, like there's sometimes that reluctance because there seems like so many barriers, so many steps, um, and also the unknown, right? And the uncertainty of what might even be on the other side of, going to actually get that checked out. And I think those are real, barriers, right, that impact people and even trying to navigate some of these systems. So I want to open the floor if anyone else wanted to jump in to add to that question.
Jeremy, just want to add one thing as well. In addition, Laszlo mentioned about social and cultural barriers that have the reluctance. Funny enough, I was just exploring this morning, and I spoke to one of our timekeepers that we have 4 hours of excused absence for cancer screenings. And I spoke to one of our timekeeping supervisor, who said men are not often requesting 4 hours to get screened. And these are the things that we don't explore. We don't have the proactiveness to really reach out, to really use these resources that's available to us and to explore the options that's available to get this necessary screening. So I thought that was interesting that men don't use the excused absence for cancer screening for prostate cancer or whatever cancer screening there is.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And I'm seeing some comments coming in that are also kind of, reflecting on that too. We have some comments here, people sharing that uh men may not share, with others, right, what's going on with their bodies. So family and friends are often even unaware, right? Um, and sharing your story makes a difference. Yeah, so we appreciate that. And then I've also seen some comments, Leon, someone shared like a lack of access, right? And encouragement. I would also say even for screenings and things like that. Yeah, how could maybe everyone in this call, right, and even us as panelists continue to advocate and make other people more aware, right, of what's out there and what we should and can be taking advantage of. Um, I want to keep the conversation going, and please thank you for all the comments that are coming in. I really appreciate this. And even I'm trying to read as we go, so even if I don't get to reflect on any, we can always come back at the end for some open discussion or any questions that you may have. So I want to ask another question here. Bringing it intrinsically, right? I feel like I saw a comment, about people keeping things internal and just about ourselves. For each of you, or anyone who wants to share, when you think of your health and your wellness, what comes to mind for you?
Jeremy, I'll start off. One thing that when I think about my personal thoughts on health and well-being, it's not about just being ill. I look at health as a holistic approach where it includes physical health, mental well-being, emotional balance, social connections is important to health and wellness, as well as spiritual well-being. I think when we look at all of those factors, it's more of a package of what we need to look at to just be healthy with mindfulness, staying active, but also looking at all the different approaches to maintain that healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, hello?
Go ahead, Stephen. We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was an excellent
Oh, sorry. That
response,
was,
man.
oh, sorry. That was someone else. Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. My name
No,
is
it's
Ramon.
okay. I thought it was one of our panelists.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
I was just going to say that's an excellent response, Leon. I think that it's a package deal. It's not just one particular thing. I think it's roundabout. And I think one of the first things that to me binds it all, gels it all together is just self-control. I think at every level, balancing out whether it's physical, mental, health, well-being, religious, whatever you may need to do to kind of like pull all the pieces together in this puzzle. It's a fair amount of balance, I believe, that is necessary, and that's where I think sometimes the self-control, the balance, and consistency, that's what becomes the hardest. So I think the uphill battle, I believe, just your regular upbringing or your cultural background, whatever it may be, a lot of the things that we're mentioning or we talk about now in wellness weren't the things that were at the forefront of our minds and those who brought us up. So now learning them in your mid 30s, late 40s, 50s, so on, and trying to adhere to checkups and try to adhere to eating well and being balanced and having it's all new. So it's like how to learn these new things and implement them and then stay consistent with them as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for Ramaya or me. Yeah,
Ramaya, you got it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Stephen, go ahead.
Yeah, I think Ramaya and Leon covered it beautifully. Just to piggyback a little bit on both of their answers, I know for me, they mentioned this as well too, but I like to do kind of a macro check and checking on myself, like socially, physically, emotionally, all these things, financially, sexually. Like these are all components of our health, and you can't ignore any one of them. And it's always a balancing act, and as one goes up, one may go down. And then I also like to ask myself like just micro questions for like the day or the past couple of days. Have I drank enough water? Have I moved enough? Did I eat enough? Look at what I'm eating. And also just being compassionate with myself. Like we're all gonna slip up. We're gonna have a day off, or we're just not gonna feel up to it. And then having I think as Ramai said, having the self-control, having the discipline to get back onto it, and not beating myself up if you've had a hard week, a long week. Asking myself about screen time. Did I go outside? Did I interact with people? Because it's especially post COVID, it's easy to just lock yourself away in your office, in your house, in your apartment, and not see anyone for days, weeks at a time, and then you're wondering why am I feeling this way? So all those are big questions for me when I think about my health and wellness.
Yeah, thank you so much, each of you for sharing that. I think, and one of the things I appreciate is that you all reflected on how wellness is such, well-rounded experience, right? And I think maybe for many men, oftentimes when you think about just health and wellness, it's about physical, health and wellness or healthy eating, healthy going to the gym. But as you've all shared, like it encompasses so much more than that, right? Are you happy? Your social connections, everything else around you. So I think that's an important point to put out there as well. So I'm going to keep the conversation going for our panelists here. And how has your concept of health and wellness perhaps changed over the years, right? I know that, we're all, grown, we're all adults, and maybe, like myself, I was raised a certain way, born in another country. Things or experience were very different. And I imagine now, as we're adults, things might have shifted a little bit or not. So I'm curious to hear your perspective. How has your concept of health and wellness changed for you over the years?
I can jump in here. So for me, I think I kind of summarize it in like two main events, or maybe two main events would be I was living in Boston a couple of years ago, actually at this point, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, and I was a pretty active person, went to the gym a lot, ate a lot, and I just happened to I play soccer, and I was playing soccer with these like 60 and 70-year-olds, and they were on the ball, they were technical, they were moving as quick as we were. And just I think physically seeing that and being a part of that, it kind of changed my vision on, oh, older age doesn't always have to look like what you see on TV or what the I think the general what the traditional image is like you can be active, you can still be healthy, you can still take care of yourself. So that was one for me that kind of pushed me to like learn more about nutrition, sleep, all these things. I was just talking to them and getting information on like, hey, how are you still doing this? How are you still nutmegging people? How are you still doing this at your age? And they kind of just gave me game and explained to me like, yeah, you have to move, you have to, it's easy to be sedentary, it's easy to like just get into these habits, but they kind of just pushed me and taught me all the way. So that was one. And then the second one kind of happened about randomly. I had to go on a antibiotic treatment for a couple of months right after COVID, and this like kind of forced me to stop drinking. So then at a certain when I would like go out, I was like, oh, I'm on antibiotics, I can't drink. And I kind of got used to not drinking like socially or at parties, and then it just became normal to me. So like now I think it's been 3 or 4 years, and I got my Sundays back. And this is not an advertisement for anyone to stop drinking. Do what's best for you, of course, and your body. I know that's just what kind of worked for me, and that changed my concept of health and wellness. And then also a lot of other things are getting into meditation, yoga, volunteering as a way to I think extend social health. It's easy to just keep your core friends and stay with them or your partner, and you forget like to meet people and go out. So I think that's been helpful for me, especially as I've gotten older. Also, it's easy to get more isolated as you get older. So I think volunteering and just meeting people has helped with that. And then balancing alone time and social time. All these things I think about more as I've gotten older and just pay more attention to.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Open the space if any other panelists want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I can speak to how, I mean, I've been the past couple of decades biking, swimming, kayaking, jogging. I've loved jogging, just clear my mind, go out from where I live 3 miles from the ocean, just go to that three, jog there on the boardwalk, on the beach, feel the water a little bit, come back. I used to do that, especially in the summer, sunrise. I was at the beach seeing the sunrise, jog home, take a shower, bike to work, which is about 10 plus miles, 10.5 miles to downtown financial district. So with the knee issues I've been having, um, it's been suggested that, the meniscus tear was repaired, all that, but it's been discovered that I'm having arthritis. And while the meniscus is not impacted by the higher impact, like jogging kind of exercise and activity, the arthritis is, and it advances it. So in order to arrest it, not need knee replacement in like 10 years, but possibly in 20 if, as my surgeon orthopedist said, if nothing changes by that point and the way we treat that, then I will need knee replacement. I've had to mentally, first of all, adjust to what was been suggested, do more rowing. The swimming's good, low impact. The biking is good for the meniscus. It depends. That needs a balance and listen to my body as to how I'm reacting. and take a break, not bike as much every day as I used to if I need that break. And then because a lot of things, like even before I had the meniscal surgery, there'd be flare-ups, and those are caused by inflammation, which is impacted by rest, food, and other like alcoholic beverages, whatever else that you're putting into your body that causes inflammation. So I've had to, and I did, adjust my attitude towards nutrition and being much more mindful and planning and how I shop at the supermarket and then putting it together easier, with the remote days at home, but also I'll take food to work that I know is good for that, and I prepare, and then I don't have an issue of having to find something around work that's maybe not available or very expensive. So I've definitely found I needed the adjustment just to cause my body less pain, listening to my body.
Yeah.
And along with that have come other certainly psychological adjustment to have to give up or much curtail activities that have been a staple
Yeah.
over the last decade, a couple of decades or so.
Yeah, no, it definitely takes some of that adjustment. Yeah, and we appreciate, you both sharing like those personal stories of how, they helped change your, concept of health and wellness over the years, right? And obviously external factors, perhaps like something physical, right? Making you, like you shared, Laszlo, having to, okay, I have to adjust, right? I can't be out here running as much or doing some of these things. And then also the observation, right, of other people whom we might look up to or might respect, right? And Stephen mentioning seeing people a little bit older out there, and just funny story. I know that I was out of town and this weekend, and I bumped into some older guys playing tennis on a court, and we ended up there being a little bit longer than more than 2 hours, and they just kept wanting to play, and I'm out of breath. And we're just talking about like, and they were just saying like, yeah, man, we're up there, but keep playing tennis, don't ever stop, like just keep moving, keep your body going. So it's always very nice, when you bump into people who, older men in particular, who are always encouraging and reminding you like, sure, your body might change, things might change with your life, but you just got to keep going. And I think having those external factors definitely help. I also saw a few comments and people shared like wanted to point out that just how the availability of resources is now much more different, right, than maybe years ago, 10, 15, 20 years ago, right? And we're in such a technological world, computers, social media. Although that also is not always a good thing, because then people think they look up something and, oh, I'm good, right? But I think that's also an important comment to add as well. So the availability of resources and information also helps change our perspectives a little bit as well. So I want to take this a little bit deeper and think a little bit more intrinsically, right? And I've been seeing a few comments coming in, people, thinking about uh, being more consistent and things like that. So I'm curious to hear from you guys. What strategies have you adopted to keep you motivated and dedicated to maintaining a healthy lifestyle practices? Yeah.
Jeremy, I can add to that. I think when you have a community and a good social connection of everyone who has the same vision and encourage you to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I could speak on behalf of my office. I have my boss who's very, at the end of the day, she's very excited about going to the gym. I speak to my coworkers about doing fun activities relating to health and wellness. And I think that helps you to motivate you to really live that healthy lifestyle, but also you have a camaraderie. And that is that inspiration that keeps you going to go to the gym after work, eating healthy, living that healthy lifestyle, because you're sharing that commonality with your coworkers or your cohort.
No, yeah, thank you for sharing that. Anyone else from our panel wants to add a comment?
Yeah, I can actually relate to having a community being force multiplier, because I've participated going back pre-COVID and actually post-COVID as well. So in WorkWell programs in the diabetes prevention and then keeping the pressure down, so blood pressure, and all of that. I mean, in the I always enjoyed in both of those. The diabetes prevention was a longer program, I think about 15, 16 weeks, where we met weekly and just discussing challenges. And we had about I think 15 or so members of the group and just discussing the challenges, successes, what's worked, what didn't work. Like, okay, one example, like you're gonna snack, right? Watching TV, streaming stuff, maybe even doing work now that we're remote, then don't have anything else but healthy stuff to snack on. Just gonna have carrots, celery, whatever else. And lots of times if you're watching or do something else, you're almost mindlessly doing it. Then at least consume healthy stuff. So that was one of the strategies that came out of that. Um, and but structure and balance, try to not snack so much and be because then you're not mindful, but like have your structured 3 times a day kind of meals and that you prepare and keep to that so you have what you know what's in it and the reason you prepared it, like I was saying, the anti-inflammatory things. um, we also had weigh-ins there, which were always like a pull factor for me because part of diabetes prevention, the lower your weight is. So it was always, I was looking forward to the check-ins, like, okay, I lost half a pound, 3 pounds, something. Maybe gained some. So then I know we kept logs. I could look back on, okay, what did I do this last week versus other weeks where things went better or things like that. So I definitely found that to be a good motivator. Otherwise, just myself, just setting goals.
Yeah.
Uh, like I said, I bike and sometimes with the weather changing or whatever, I wouldn't be as pleasant, but I'd set a goal of at least bike to work once a week, despite the weather. I'd sort of had the plan, look at
Mhm.
the weather forecast and see what day it will be and things
Right.
like that. But just if you give yourself a break, not too hard on yourself, set realistic expectations. I found that you can stay motivated because you're maybe just barely, and the general trend is inching in the right direction, even if it's like, overall, 1 week to the next, it's not all always the way you want it to go.
Yeah, and I think that goal setting, giving yourself some grace and patience and taking small steps is definitely a good place to start. Also, all these external factors, right? Of community, whether it's employees, family members, I think all of those can definitely help you to be motivated. And even a lot of those are external and just thinking internally, because sometimes, as we all know, somebody might say, yeah, it's good to eat vegetables or be active, but there still might not be that thing on the inside that turns us, that makes us really do it. And one of the things that I would share for anyone, like, that might be one of the challenges to keeping you motivated is really thinking about, like, what's your drive, right? What's your purpose? At the beginning, in the first question, in thinking about when you think about your health and wellness, what comes to mind? A lot of our panelists shared all these different areas of well-being. And one of the things I would challenge folks to continue to think about is, we could dissect all of those areas and make small goals with them, like Laszlo was sharing some goals. And I think, what is your purpose? What is your drive? If family is something that's important to you, right? What are the things you need to do to be there to support your family? If finances, if, physical, right? And I think finding a little bit of purpose in each of the areas that matter to you can really help you to make these small steps internally, right? And then you have these support systems that can also help you keep going. Um, I want to, in the interest of time, I want to keep going with this conversation. And I appreciate all the comments are coming in. I'm not going to keep up with all of them because they're coming fast, but please keep responding to each other. I really like that. And then I hope we'll have a few minutes to come back to some of them. So let's jump in here real quick. So another question, because people seem to be very interested in action on our chat so far. So what would you share with other men in this group or in general about actions that they can take to improve their own health and well-being? I guess I kind of just started in sharing a few things, but any of our panelists want to jump in?
I can jump in here, Jeremy.
Go for it.
So for me, I think the first one overall is water, water, water. Everything starts with water. I can tell you exactly how I'm feeling when I'm like hydrated versus when I'm dehydrated. If a headache's coming on, the first thing I ask myself, as I said earlier, I think was, did I drink enough water today? So I think that's like a foundational action. It will change your mood and your attitude so much. Second one for me is like move. You have to find some activity that you love, do it. If you're able to, I'm lucky I'm still able to play some basketball, some soccer, biking, to anything, walking. I just got into swimming. That's a great one. Tennis, just find something, and it may not have to be a sport. It can be anything, just something that gets you outside and gets you moving. If you enjoy bird watching, or there's thousands of activities, just find one that calls out to you and just get into it, and it'll get you moving. Um, Another one to me is just paying attention to your body. It's a receipt of everything you put into it. So take a look at your skin. Is your skin a bit dry? Your eyes, what goes in? What are you eating? I kind of, to me, it's a receipt of my health. So if I know I've been getting a lot of headaches and my skin's a bit dry or whatever, like, am I drinking enough water? Am I eating right? Or all these things. So I think that's a big indicator. Another one is just more communication with your healthcare provider, with your PCP. It isn't you. I've been able to get away from just that once a year, my checkup. Like anytime something's off, I'll check in with them and just have that conversation. Have a more continual flow of yeah, communication with them versus once a year. And I think the last thing is that's been really helpful for me in terms of actions is just I know it's easy as adults to like we get caught up on our responsibilities, things we have to do. What I've tried to do in the past couple of years is just nurture that like childlike fascination with the world. So like all those things I remembered when I was a kid that I wanted to like learn more about or do. Just getting back to those and those have been great for my like my social health because I'm meeting people who like are interested in those things. So for example, I'm taking a web design class and like I've met a lot of people and we're just going back and forth on web design and how it looks and like emotional, mental, because I'm doing and working on things that I really want to learn more about. Intellectual health, like it's same thing. It's easy to just get uh to focus on what we do for work and not really challenge ourselves intellectually. But as I'm learning new skills, learning new things, I'm thinking outside of the box. I'm meeting people. It's just been great. So I think that's a big action people can men can do. Also taking a sewing class because I'm big on I want to repair clothes and I don't want to buy new clothes all the time. I want to fix things up and yeah. So I
Yeah.
think those are 4 or 5 I just mentioned and they've been super helpful for me. So.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think if I touch on curiosity, it's something as part of our wellness workshops that we always talk about as adults. We tend to lose that curiosity that we had as a kid. And imagine kid is finding something new, they get happy, they smile, they want to learn more about it, right? And thinking as adults, like how learning a new language, taking a new class, learning how to sew, you're also actually working through challenges during that same thing. You're practicing how to build a resilient mindset, right? And then when you're able to patch something up or you're able to, practice what you learn in a class in public, you feel good about yourself in doing that. So I think there's definitely value in exploring that curiosity as a self-care, right? An action to support your health and well-being. So I'm glad you honed in and shared some of those actions there. Anyone else wanted to add to that from our panel?
Jeremy, to Stephen's point as well, I always say that your health is wealth, right?
Yeah.
It's our greatest asset, and you want to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And it starts with small steps. It doesn't have to be running 10 miles a day or doing extraordinary health and fitness. But to be able to have that conversation, build that social network, but also to be able to ask questions, resources are there. You said earlier that there's so much technology have changed, we have evolved. where it's at our fingertips. And one of the greatness is that you could even check YouTube. YouTube has a resource of eating healthy, healthy cooking, exercises. So there's everything is at our fingertips. Don't be afraid to explore, ask questions, and build that social connection.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Leon. Yeah. Laszlo, and if you want to chime in.
Yeah, so yeah, you saw I was about to jump in, but then yeah. So before I forget, because I'm going to focus more concrete actions and on the physical side of things, um, that the emotional well-being that then translates into physical well-being, or the reverse of that is if you're stressed, for example, you're raising your cortisol levels leads to inflammation. It's talking a lot about inflammation before, so carving out time for yourself, whether that's reading, listening to music, you're watching shows, okay, whatever relaxes you as much as possible in a day, every day have some, and even at work you can do that. You can carve out 10 minutes out of an hour, 10 minutes out of 2 hours, something that I have earphones in and I'm listening to music that I enjoy. People come up and they don't notice it, and then whatever. But that helps me, because a lot of the din of the office and helps me actually concentrate on what I'm doing. And so that's a thing that before I would have forgotten. So relaxing, let's say watching shows and stuff, sleep is very important. And in order to get the proper amount of sleep and rest a day, you might be caught up in whatever you're doing, especially in the evening. You're watching something and it's so exciting and it pulls you in and whatever, and it's going to be to the detriment of how much you rest. Well, what I do, a concrete action, is I've got alarms for myself that when I start something, we set alarms to wake ourselves up and for other tasks, to get us to meetings. Well, I have an alarm to get myself to sleep. Okay, it's time to sleep, to get myself that 7 to 8 hours. And now I'm going to start weaning myself off, even if I don't turn it off right away. But next 5 to 10 minutes, you got to stop it and continue the next day, whatever. So that's a concrete action. Another concrete action as far as water consumption, I agree with Stephen 100%. I'm someone who can drink a pint of water up just like that, and I'll drink. But lots of people I know in family and acquaintances have trouble drinking water, just large amounts. And we're supposed to drink like about 2 liters a day. If it's hot, much more, if you're active. And one strategy, concrete strategy, is to get your 2 liters or whatever amount, fill the water bottle or whatever kind of vessel you're drinking out of that has measurement on it, and keep consuming, reminding yourself, even set alarms. I don't know, reminders every hour. Did you drink? Oh, in the office, you might forget, drink, drink, drink. And then by the end of the day, you will know how much you did consume, the appropriate amount. That's what's recommended. Another thing with lots of people I know, I didn't know there were that many people, but I've met over the last few years who don't like the taste of water. I'm like, well, water's not supposed to have a taste. But the fact that there's no taste. So what they do is just, it's so negligible. Just add a little bit of syrup, whatever that you like, just really a pinch, a
Fruit.
drop, the lemon, the whatever. Now you
Yeah.
have your taste. Now, whatever you like, drink like that. And a final action, so I don't keep carrying on, is what I'm really focused on, not just the PCP, but having that annual, having the dental annual, and actually semi-annual, twice a year cleanings that the union were entitled to. In the union, like most of the unions have the dental, the benefit fund of that, and the vision. I go annually to that, check out, because as you get older, also the pressure in your eyes, not just your vision, but it tells about other diseases like high blood pressure. They can diagnose from that or send you to a specialist, dermatologist. I've got in my family, I've got that hereditary. What do you call it? The sunspots and I forget the name of the brown,
Yeah.
So that can turn cancer. So I go for that and for those two, I set reminders, just like an Outlook, because I'll forget when I had the last
Yeah.
year ago, 6 months or whatever. So for everything, reminders, 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 and then you can free up your mind for other things. You don't have to pay attention, and other things may happen in life, and you'll forget. And once we get to a certain age, and there are the screenings we talked about that were not part of the regular, whether that's breast cancer stuff for women, colon cancer for men,
Prostate cancer.
prostate cancer, right?
Yeah.
So those kinds of things, and definitely be prepared. Another action. Look
Yeah.
at your chart, look at whatever, and be prepared to speak to healthcare professionals, ask questions, what it means, how you should change things when
Mhm.
they recommend the next checkup, what signs you should pay attention to come sooner if they present, those kinds of things.
Yeah, thank you. No, I think those are all really good actions, and there's so many gems from what you all shared. And I can't even get into to all of them, but I know we're approaching just a little bit of end of time, and I know we did have one other question here, but I think I really like how engaging the chat has been and the conversation has been. So I will take maybe the last 10 minutes or so and see if there are, if anyone, if you can raise your hand, if anyone has any specific questions you might wanted to ask for maybe our panelists, myself, about men's health, wellness, and we'll take maybe about 2 or 3 questions if we have time. So if you can just raise your hand or drop it in the chat. And if you're not sure, you can drop it in the chat as well, and I can read it out as well. Anyone?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, thank you for this. This has been actually amazing.
And Tyler, I see you.
I had no doubt it was going to be amazing, actually. So I've enjoyed the conversation. One of the things I am actually looking to do is to see how to be a qualitative partner and supporter of men's holistic well-being. As a lover of men, mother, sister, friend, sometimes what happens is, as a woman, we are encouraging, however, it may come across as someone telling a man what to do. And there's some pushback about that. So one of the things I wanted to do is to learn from you all, how would you prefer for us to be supportive to you? And especially for myself as a clinician, for my younger men that I have, how can I support them in connecting with resources, feeling as though it is important and that their presence matters, because some of it comes over as, well, I'll get to it. I just need to take a couple days, do this, and then it doesn't exactly happen, or they feel as though they're not getting the support. And I think there are lots of supports. It's just how to get them to move from what the desire is to getting it done with the support of a woman and feel like she's actually supporting them as opposed to criticizing and or condemning.
Stephen, Leon, Laszlo, any of you want to jump in before I do? Please.
Michelle, that's a great question. As you were talking, I had to think about my wife because, you know, men in general, we tend to that male egotistical attitude, right? We think we know all the answers. We know everything we do is the right path we're following. Just my wife will push me to go to the doctor. If I don't feel well, I said, it'll get better. Just let me wait 4 more days or wait it out and I'll heal miraculously. And that's, I think the most important part is to have that open conversation. But as men, we have that earplugs. We need to remove it and have that ability to listen, but also to partner, because that support system is so important, because, you know, you may see it from a different perspective. We see it in our way to be that breadwinner, to go to work, to have that the strength that we could endure anything, and that's not true.
Thank you for sharing that. And just one other comment, and then I'm going to go to Tyler for his question. I would just add, if any of you are parents, any of the women are parents, I think, you know, my mom was one of those who made sure every appointment, even as a grown man, she does this with my brother too. If she's going to the eye doctor, to the dentist, to whatever, everybody gets their appointment scheduled the same day. I'm like, we don't even live in the same house. Everybody gets their appointment scheduled the same day, and she will do everyone's. And you know, as much as like I'm like, you don't even know if I'm free or not, right? But at the same time, I feel like that was really encouraging and has helped me over the years, like be very diligent. And it's interesting because my brother's the opposite. I'm very diligent in going now a little bit on my own, and she still has to put and drag to go. So I think we still appreciate that. And I think something, if any of the parents on there, even for your grown sons, I think that's okay too. I know it's worked with mine, but I'm from Caribbean household, so I don't have much notice. I can't say no too much. So, let's go. Tyler, go ahead. I know you had a question. We're running out of time, so we'll just get one response to Tyler's question. Go for it.
I'll make it quick because you kind of said before.
Okay.
So it's two parts. How do we figure out what we're entitled to get screened for as far as maybe miss time for work? And then how do we advocate for things that aren't there that should be there?
Yeah. So for cancer screenings, city employees are eligible for unexcused absence. And I know there's a form that, at least here at the health department, that we typically have to fill out. So any type of cancer screenings, you fill that form out, you submit it to your HR person. So outside of the standard, like if it's a cancer screening, you would primarily just have to use like medical, your sick time to do any of those types of appointments. Is that kind of the question in terms of screenings? Yeah, okay, yeah. So it's primarily the excused absence is for the cancer screening. So, and then if you want to know if obviously what's covered or how much, you can always call the number on the back of the insurance card to find out if the doctor you're going to, right, covers that, or speak to your primary care, right? That's how I've gotten connected with almost every screening or thing that I've had. It's just speaking to my one doctor, telling him what I need, and then he making a referral or just suggesting someone that might be in my network. Okay. Um, and then all right, see Michelle dropped her information in there too. Okay, we're at 1:55. I think that we can take one more question if that's okay with the team. Anyone else wanted to add a question? Yes, Ramaya, go for it. Sorry, I forgot your name. Yeah.
Oh, no worries. The only question I really had was how often are these particular panel meetings? I guess maybe a two-part question. And what would I guess next steps from the panel, either one or all of you, be for someone who is, let's just say, starting down this path of wellness, like very slow steps? Because I also believe, while everything everybody said is great, I also believe in being very realistic in my approaches and my goals so that I'm able to achieve them. I think that smaller goals, especially health-wise, have been much more obtainable and reachable than just this broad stroke of goals. So I'll just kind of like, when we'll be able to meet again, and what would y'all say we could take away and
So this was our first men's health panel.
Oh,
I see
well.
Brenda is back on camera because I think in terms of continuing, that would be a question we would throw to work well. And to your second question, in terms of like resources and continuing, definitely Workwell has a robust, set of resources. But also, I can speak for myself, like you're always welcome to reach out. I don't know if our emails were shared, but I can drop it in the chat. This is what I do regularly. My whole life has been around behavior change and wellness and supporting folks. So I'm happy to also to help and direct, even if it's within the city. Brenda.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the panelists, but also thank you to the participants. This was amazing. I think it was more than any of us had expected for our first Men's Health panel. And I'm glad you brought up the question, well, when can we do this again? And we just wanted to feel the waters today to see, well, would there be an interest? Are men interested in a space like this? And it seems like the answer is yes. So maybe Men's Health Month, June 2026, we can try and revisit a space like this where men can talk, share, give each other advice, and provide that support system. So we definitely will offer a second go around, a second opportunity in 2026, hopefully Men's Health Month. And before we end, and I don't want to end because this conversation is so great, but I do want us to potentially, or have you all answer a poll. because in order for us to make improvements on what we're sharing with you or what we're offering, we need to know what you're doing or what you're interested in. And we want to know if what we're doing resonates with you. So let me launch our poll. And the first one is, how would you rate the overall quality of this program? We always, again, this feedback, it really helps us with future programming. So please definitely answer the poll. All right, just going to give it few more minutes or seconds. Thank you, thank you. The responses are coming in, so this is great. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to end that. Going to share. So we range from excellent to good, so we can't ask for much more than that. So thank you. I'm going to go back. We do have a second poll. Attitude. Did participating in this Work Well program help you feel more positive to making healthy lifestyle behaviors or practices? And thank you for the comments too, because we definitely will be looking over them and reviewing them. All right, I'm going to end. And by and large, a majority of people did feel that this did promote positive or support in them feeling a bit more positive towards adopting healthy practices. And I think I'm going to have one more. So sorry about this. I know it's quite a lot, but self-efficacy. Did participating in this Work Well program help you feel more confident in your ability to lead a healthy lifestyle? So hearing the panelists speak and giving their different lenses on what health and wellness means for them, do you feel a little bit more confident?
Brenda, while people are voting, I just wanted to ask you, is there a way, do you want people who are on this panel today, I mean participants, if they're interested to be panelists, come next time around to contact you, or how would they go about doing that?
Well, see, Mr. Laszlo, you took the words
Great
out of my mouth.
question.
So I was going to say, definitely, if you're interested in being a panelist, because we want to hear from everyone, right? The city is so broad, so many different lenses, as we heard from today. So if you would be interested in participating in our virtual panel for 2026, please reach out to me, and let me put my email in the chat. So we can do Brenda .NYC.
And just so everyone knows, this was not orchestrated or choreographed in any way. That was genuinely with the interest that was coming in. That was my question that just popped.
Definitely. Thank you. All right. So before we end, as I started, Work Well NYC has so much information to share and to offer. So I just want to, before we end today, just let you know of some upcoming programs that we will be sharing. So we still have flu clinics going on. If you haven't had your flu for the year, please look and see when there is a flu clinic close to where your agency is. Tomorrow, September 24th, so excuse this slide, which is saying the 17th, we had a rain date. So tomorrow, Tuesday, September the 24th, between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m., we will be doing a health fair at 1 Center Street.
Wednesday,
So,
tomorrow.
tomorrow. Am I saying the wrong date?
You know, the day was fine. You said Tuesday, but it's tomorrow, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Tomorrow, Wednesday. I'm sorry. Tomorrow, Wednesday, September 24th. So please come and join us. It's a great time. There's going to be lots of vendors. There's going to be music, and you also can get to meet many of the panelists who are here today, as well as other WorkWell staff. So please come. We also have, and this is a first-time program for us, it's called Real Talk, short films about mental health. It's a in-person event at 22 Cortlandt Street. It will be between 6 and 7:30 p.m. Watch short films on mental wellness, silent suffering, negative thinking, and the importance of awareness and compassion, and to have conversations. We also have at September 30th at 1 p.m. must-knows for student loans, always very popular. And a few of the panelists talked about their participation in our diabetes as well as hypertension programs. So starting next week, we're going to be starting off our 8-week Let's Bring the Sugar Down. This is the first time we're actually offering a Saturday session for those who do not have time during the week. So if you are at risk for diabetes, if you're living with type 2 diabetes, or you know people who are, please join this amazing program. As always, you can be the first to know if you join our mailing list, and there's many ways for you to stay in contact with WorkWell NYC. So please, I will definitely send a recorded message of today's panelists as well as the slides. So I want to say again, thank you, everyone. Thank you, panelists. This was an amazing conversation, and I'm really looking forward to the next steps as some of the participants have shared.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Brenda, for hosting this. Thanks to all
Thank
the
you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
for
everybody.
Have a
Have a
good
good
day,
one.
everyone. Take care.
Be well.
Everyone, thank you.